We're pleased to welcome Liz Harrington, Donald Trump's chief spokesperson. She joins me right now. Liz, thank you so much for being with us today to give us a little bit of what the behind the scenes are right now within the Trump team. How is he handling this? He was very quiet. He was confident, but didn't say much at the indictment hearing on Tuesday. How is he taking all of this in? Is it like a mosquito that he's swatting away, or is it getting under his skin at all?
Well, Adrienne, no one likes to be falsely accused, and President Trump has been falsely accused many times. This is the latest example, but as you mentioned, in a very unprecedented way. I mean, we do not do this in the United States of America, and that is his number one concern right now. And he knows he's done nothing wrong here. He knows these charges are completely laughable on their face. They, in fact, don't even list a crime in order to try to bump up a non-crime from a misdemeanor to a felony, and they don't even list it, which is a total violation of his constitutional rights, which you're required to be informed what you're even being accused of. And he's not afforded that right because they bend the rules. They're trying to interfere in our elections. So his primary concern, as he articulated last night, is for the country. I mean, if this is allowed to stand, the rule of law will be completely destroyed along with everything else in our country, the skyrocketing crime, that they're not going after real criminals in New York City and elsewhere, and yet they're going after political opponents, our open border, the destruction of our energy independence, the loss of the dollar as the world reserve currency, which is a real possibility. He mentioned all these issues last night, and we are facing this as a country to become just another third world nation, and that he will not allow. That's why he's running again. And that's why they're targeting him so fiercely.
Well, and I want to talk about being targeted, but real quickly, there was another news network that I'll leave the name out of, which refuses to run events like last night, his nationally televised primetime speech, saying that it was just full of lies and that it was campaign talking points. What do you say to people who say, when you're saying that he has not committed a crime, the team is lying to the country, that he did commit a crime?
Well, they can't articulate what the crime is. I mean, Adrienne, look at the indictment. It's rather unprecedented. You list this, so-called misdemeanor, which is past the statute of limitations, which, of course, there's no crime to even begin with settling a nuisance, non-disclosure agreement, which is very routine for someone of President Trump's stature. However, they try to make this into a felony when Alvin Bragg is lowering felonies across the city down to misdemeanors, letting career criminals back out on the streets to commit more crime. He's trying to make this into a felony, and yet they never actually say it. So they have no specifics. They can never even say what crime is being committed because there is none. His only crime, as he said last night, was taking on the corrupt establishment, the people who are very busy at work destroying our nation. The American people are feeling that. They're hurting. And they need real leadership. And that's why they're galvanizing around President Trump, because they realize this is why he's being targeted. He's the only one who takes it to the corrupt establishment that is wrecking our country.
And people would come on and watch this interview and say, well, how is he being targeted? He committed some act that's questionable. Let the jury and the judge decide. But the timing of this trial for January could be deemed questionable, considering how close it is to the election. There are people who have gone on the record saying they will not let Donald Trump near the White House again. So is it believed that this is a larger conspiracy, if that's the right wording, to target the president, the 45th president of the United States?
It's clearly election interference. And as President Trump mentioned, it's not just in New York with these trumped-up charges. They're attacking him and our campaign in D.C., in Georgia, elsewhere. And it must end. And as anyone that tries to question, if this is just totally normal and run-of-the-mill, it is not. I mean, when was Hillary Clinton, drawn before a judge for actual campaign finance violations that her campaign paid a fine for this Steele dossier, which actually influenced our elections with lies about President Trump and Russia for years. So this is clearly unequal justice. Other public figures are not treated the same way. Don't even get us started on the corruption of Joe Biden and his family taking money from the Chinese Communist Party. And the list goes on. And they are not treated the same way. President Trump, ever since he came down that escalator, has faced unrelenting persecution and phony investigations. They spied on his campaign. They tried to frame him for collusion with Russia. It's been never ending. They raided his home. They will do anything they can to stop this man because he represents the greatest political movement in American history. And that's what they're really afraid of.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.